everybody, welcome to FabFit Friday, and I guess it's my unofficial kickoff to the prom gown season. Now, I'm not like in the alterations business, but I do enjoy an occasional project. I love taking things apart and putting them back together, and I was asked by a friend to hem his daughter's prom dress, and I thought this would make a fun FabFit Friday because I'm going to show you how to hem using horsehair, and I have some things to show you with that. And then I'm going to show you how to fix a loop that's come undone in the back of a lace-up, a little bit of a lace-up detail on the dress, and also how to repair a broken hook and eye, or actually I'm just going to be putting the hook back on. The eye is already on there. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And I just want you to know that the young lady wearing this dress is one of the sweetest young ladies I've ever met. So if she's watching, hello. And I'm just going to show you here, I just want to show you the dress a little bit. Hi Mary, hi Janie, welcome. All right, so let me just show you this here. I didn't bring my sewing machine down yet because I've got all this dress here, and we're going to talk about some other things first. So let me just show you what the dress looks like. It's a strapless dress, and it has a little empire waist here, and then it has box pleats coming from a little band around the empire waist. So there's 2 box pleats in the front and 2 box pleats in the back. Hi Julie, welcome. Happy Friday. Hi Diane, welcome. And it's a really soft, glittery fabric. It's really pretty. And the cool thing, and I think the thing that was most exciting, is that there are pockets hidden in the pleats, the box pleats on the side seams. Let me just show you that. So see right here, see if I can get in a little bit closer so you can see. Hi Kathleen, welcome from Washington State. Ooh, it's early, it's morning time for you there probably. Okay, so see in the box pleat right here, there is actually pockets in the side seams. Isn't that cool? I just thought that was such a cool detail, and I'm going to be reinforcing the side seams above and below the pockets are coming undone a little bit, so I'm going to just hand sew those back together so they're nice and firmly attached. Before we get to the hem, I just want to show you how I'm going to fix the, oops, sorry, that was frightening. I just want to show you how I'm going to fix 2 things that are broken here. So let me see. I'm going to take the hanger off because it's getting a little in the way. Okay, so let me just put the hanger over here for a second. Okay, so in the back of the dress, there is a small lace-up section. So let me just show you. I'm going to cut this bag off. I don't think we need this. Just cut this off here. Okay, I'm going to leave the tag and everything else assembled and all of the loops to hang this dress up. But what I want to show you is there were a couple things in the back. So it's got this little lace-up section, and this top loop came undone. So let me show you how I'm going to fix that. I'm going to get in really close here so you can see. Okay, what I did was I have it pinned back together, but what I want to show you here, I'm going to unpin it, and I just want to show you that what I did to fix it was I took a little bit of the seam out. I picked it out a little bit bigger with my seam ripper right here. Let's see if you can see. Let me make it a little bit, there we go. And then what I did was I wrapped the end of the loop with some basic Scotch tape. I cut the Scotch tape in half so it wasn't quite as wide. And then to get it back in, I used tweezers like this at the very tip, and I just inserted it in the hole that I created like this. Oops. I just want to make sure that you can see this here. And using the Scotch tape keeps it a little bit more rigid, so it's easier to put it back in the hole. So that's what I did to insert it back into the seam. So you can see it's a nice looking loop, and it's uniform to its neighboring loop. Let me just unlace it here so you can see the second loop coming down. So you can see the loops look identical. Okay, so I'm just going to hand stitch that to securely fasten it. I'm going to do that later. The next thing, oh, let me just pin it back. Just going to pin it back in there so it doesn't fall out. Okay, and then the next thing is, if you have to replace a hook and eye, it's a good idea to pin the hook to the dress, hook it, and then zip it, and make sure that the hook is actually in a good position to keep the top of the dress closed. I will tell you, we had a little bit of trouble getting the zipper up, because the primary, the primary thing I think a hook and eye is really important for is if you do the hook and eye, then it's easier to zip the dress up because you're not trying to hold the top closed. So basically I'm going to just hand stitch this, and I have a white one here. Afterward I'm going to go look for a black one to see if I have a black one to just fix that. But basically you want to make sure it's in a good position so when you zip it up, it's not distorting the zipper, or it's not it's not encompassing or pulling in too much fabric. Like if you put it too far away from where it needs to hook the eye, it could bunch the fabric up. And you can see here that that's really a nice finish, or it's closing the, it's closing the, or keeping it closed in a good way. So if I unzip it, you can see it's a good distance. So I will be also just hand sewing that on as well. But like I said, it's always a good idea to, just test it and make sure you like the position of it. And you can see I use 2 pins through each little loop at the base of the hook to hold it in position to make sure I like that position. So that's where I'm going to sew the hook and eye on. And to sew the hook and eye on, I'm basically going to stitch in 2 places on each loop. So on the side I will stitch, and then at the very back of the loop I will stitch to hold it securely. So I'm just going to take a few stitches in both of those loops to hold the hook and eye in place. So those are the things I'm going to be fixing up at the top. Now I want to talk about this hem. So when someone says to you, oh, can you hem my dress? Let me just see here. I'm going to scooch myself over. I'm going to put myself over here. All right, let's see. Kathleen says, not sure how old the class is, but I just purchased your Jean Fit class on Craftsy. I'm learning so much. I found your YouTube channel and I am thrilled. Well, welcome, and I am so happy you found me. Please keep me posted if you have any questions. Also, I have a ton of jean and pants fitting videos on my Fit Tip Tuesday. Every Tuesday I post a new Fit Tip video, so make sure to check those out. Hey Judy, welcome. Okay, so this dress, like I said, whenever someone asks me to do a hem, my first consideration or thought is, oh my gosh, am I going to have to hem layers? So you can see inside this dress we have some tulle to make it a little bit poofy, and then we have a lining between the skirt and the lining. So the tulle is between those things, then we have a lining. Happy Dance, I only had to hem it enough. I mean, the amount I had to hem it did not make the lining peek out. So basically I do not have to deal with hemming this lining. So I'm super excited about that. And I just want to talk about how you mark a hem, and I'm just going to describe it to you. I had, you know, you want to wear the shoes you're going to wear and the foundation you're going to wear under your dress, because that makes everything hang slightly different. And when we had the dress on before the shoes, it was hanging down a mile, and then she had these gorgeous heels, and I have to say they probably were about 3-inch heels, and they had like little crystal straps on the front. They are so pretty. So when she put those on, it became so much better, because there was a lot less to hem. Obviously 3-inch heels makes a big difference. So just to show you what I did here, this is what I cut off, and the way this dress was hemmed, there was horsehair in here. So basically they sewed horsehair to the right side of the hem, flipped it underneath, and then top stitched it along the edge. And that was very cool for me, because all I had to do was flip up the horsehair, and then the hem was hovering maybe, you know, 3/8 to a half an inch from the floor. So that actually worked out perfect for us. All I had to do was cut off the horsehair at the top of the hem. So I decided I'm going to put the hem back together using horsehair. So I went to Joann's, and sadly they only had 1-inch wide horsehair. Now I could totally use this to fix the dress. I could use this to hem the dress, but I kind of liked the way the wider horsehair looked. So what I decided to do is, after I cut the horsehair off the dress, hi Diane Bacon, welcome. It's okay that you're late. I just love that you guys come. So this horsehair is only 1 inch. The horsehair on the dress was probably 2.5 inches. So what I did was, after I cut it off, I took the stitching out on the lower edge. So let me show you what the original horsehair looks like. I'm just going to put this over here for right now. Okay, so the original horsehair was really wide like this. I'm going to zoom in now so you can see. Okay, so you can see it was this wide, and you can see the tops of the horsehair got a little bit mangled because I cut it in places. Hi Andrea, welcome. Oh, you love the fabric. It is so pretty, and it's nice and soft too. It's not scratchy, which I kind of thought was kind of cool. So what I decided to do is, I'm going to use this original horsehair, but I don't want to use this mangled edge. And you know, part of me was also concerned, because you can see the bottom edge that I picked out, the stitching out, is nice and smooth because it's finished, right? It's not a raw, it's not just, you know, left raw. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to insert the cut edge, or I'm going to put that with the raw edge of the hem, and then when I flip it up, the finished edge will be the top of the hem allowance. So the width of your horsehair is going to be, oh yay! Like to Sew is happy to catch me live. I'm so happy you're here. We're hemming a prom gown today. So what I did was, I used my ruler at 2 inches, and basically I cut off all the damaged part of the horsehair, so I could use the remainder of it to hem the dress. So I'm just going to cut this off. There. So see, basically I went around and I just cut off this 1/2 inch from the top edge, or the bottom edge where I cut it off the dress. So now I have a wider horsehair to use, so I'm super excited about that. So let's bring the dress back. And I'm saying horsehair, this is really nylon braid. Okay, you can buy horsehair trim. In the olden days, it used to be made from horsehair. Now they have all sorts of synthetics that you can use that are just, I think, much more agreeable and more cost effective, I think. But I will tell you, I was kind of surprised. This 1-inch horsehair at Joann's was $3.50 a yard. So I'm going to save this for another project. Maybe we'll make something, a skirt or something that will need horsehair in the future. But we're going to use the original horsehair because I like the width of it and it just looked very pretty. So let's bring the dress back. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center back of the hem. That's where I'm going to start and stop, because to join the ends of the horsehair, I'm just going to overlap them a little bit. Let me just make this a little bit bigger here. So here I am in the back. Okay, so this is my center back seam right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the horsehair and I'm going to position it so that the edge that I cut to make nice and smooth. So this is, see right here, this is the cut edge, this is the finished edge. I want the finished edge to be on the top when I flip it. So I'm just going to start right here and I am going to put the horsehair on. Now when I put the horsehair on, I really I don't think I'm going to go through and oh no, and wait a minute. Now here's the thing, we've got all of this dress that's gigantic. So let me just show you, see all this fabric. So we're going to be sewing like this, right? So I'm going to be over here, we're going to be sewing like this. So I'm just going to start it like this, and I'm not going to match up that cut edge with the exact cut edge of the hem. I'm going to have it be about 1/8 of an inch from the cut edge of the hem, so when I flip it around, the fabric will wrap around that raw edge. And I think even if you don't have a cut piece of horsehair, I would still leave like 1/8 of an inch so you can wrap it around. So see, once we sew it on, we're literally going to just turn it around like that. So I'm going to get my sewing machine. I'm going to leave this right here. And of course, that's the one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to thread my machine with black. So you can watch me thread my machine for a hot second here. I'm going to have my machine way over here on this side of the table because I need all of my dress. I need room for my dress to be supported by the table on the side of me. So I'm going to be working over here today. And let me just plug my machine in and just quickly thread it up in black. Okay, let's see here. All right, so I'm going to wind a bobbin. Oh, Kathleen is asking what horsehair does. Okay, you're going to see what it does. See how this is very, you know, it's a thin fabric and it doesn't have any body. So horsehair will give the whole hem some body and support and shape. So that's what the horsehair does. Now, let's say that you are, oh, I'm going to use, I have some purple. I'm just going to use that all ready to go. I'm going to use purple on my bobbin. That way I don't have to wind the bobbin. That'll work out. Let's say you're doing a hem on something and you mistakenly cut it a little bit too short, so you don't have enough hem allowance. You can use the horsehair, sew it on to the very edge and flip it, and then the horsehair also becomes your hem allowance. So that's another thing that it could be good for too. Okay, so I'm going to just use that purple. That'll save time here. And then I'm just going to thread my machine. Hi, Christine. Welcome. Oh, Christine from the UK. Oh, that's so exciting. Uh, I love it that, we can get together from all over the place when we're on, streaming. I think that's kind of cool. All right, let me just thread this machine. Now, one thing we have to be careful with when we're working with the horsehair is we don't want to stretch it. So I'm going to put the horsehair in my lap, and I'm going to keep everything nice and loose. I'm going to bring this way in so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to take the end, and I think you'll be able to see underneath the light of my machine, and also the light of my lights here. Let me get it so you can see. So basically, I'm going to line up this horsehair. So like I said, the horsehair is literally, so I can get a better angle here. There, that's better. Okay, I think that's a better angle. All right, that's as far as I can zoom, but I think that'll be good. Hi, Morgan. Oh, Morgan's here. She is the young lady wearing the dress. Morgan, I'm using the original horsehair from your dress to hem because the one at Joann's was too skinny. It was only an inch. I bought it, but then when I got back, I thought I'll just take my time and take it apart. So that's what I did. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to literally lay this down. And I'm leaving, like I said, I'm leaving like 1/8 of an inch of fabric underneath. So the horsehair ends, and then there's like 1/8 of an inch. And basically, I'm just going to sew this on using a tiny little allowance because we don't want to really make it any shorter. And I'm going to use a 3 for a stitch length, and I'm going to be super careful not to stretch the horsehair because you can see that it does have this give to it, and if you stretch it, it becomes skinnier. So I want it to stay its full width, and I am just going to start stitching here. And I'm just going to work my way around. A little at a time. I know it's maybe hard for you to see the fabric and the edge of the horsehair. I will tell you that when I was cutting it apart, I didn't worry about the top edge, but when I took apart the lower edge, I carefully picked out the stitching. But they used a longer stitch, so that's why I'm using a longer stitch. Okay. Okay, so again, I'm just going to stitch around. There's probably 120 inches of hem, so it's going to take me a minute to get around, so just bear with me here. I also had to buy a new set of pins because I can't use Wonder Clips for the second part of this. Okay. Isn't that pretty fabric? I love how it's sparkling along. I guess the good thing too is I know that I have just the right amount of horsehair because I'm putting on the same horsehair that I took off. I did buy 5 yards of horsehair to make sure I had enough when I went to Joann's, but I think I'm going to be happier with the wider finish. All right, so as I come around, I'm just gonna manage my fabric by making sure I have plenty of hem to work with. Also, you want to make sure that nothing's under your needle except the hem fabric that you're working with. So I'm just doing a little bit at a time. You know, and I'm being really careful not to stretch. I don't know if you're having trouble seeing the edge of the horsehair. It's hard to see, so I'm just taking my time. Oh, maybe while Morgan's here, she can verify for me that I did find some little holes near the pockets in the seams. Is there a hole somewhere along a seam that's not near a pocket that I can look for? Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop and organize my fabric again here. Oh, and I can see where I started, so I'm getting there. All right, we're getting there. Oh, there's a hole in the back near the seam. All right, I will look for that. Is the hole on the seam or near the seam? Let me know about that. Okay, all right, I'm getting to the, look at, here's my start point right here. I'm so close. Okay. Things like that can happen, like you can get little holes or little loops. Oh, it is on the seam. Okay, I'll be able to fix that very easily. I looked quick and I didn't see it, but I will go back and look. All right, let's see here. You know, in the process of people trying dresses on, things can happen. So we can just fix them up so they're perfect. All right, we are coming to the end here. So these pieces, the skirt pieces, were probably pretty flared. And the interesting thing is, I cut off probably, you know, 2.5 inches. So the width of the skirt in just 2.5 inches got significantly less wide, because you can see here, well, you'll see in a minute once I get, let me just finish here. All right, so here I am at the end. Okay, so here's where I started right here. I'm coming to it. You'll see it in a second. Okay, so here's where the beginning piece is right here. So I'm just going to cut this so it overlaps like 1 inch. And look, I have like almost a foot left. So that's kind of interesting. All right, let's... All right, so I've got that sewn on. Oh, and by the way, if you decide that you want to try to, you know, recycle or reuse horsehair from a dress that you're working on, just know that you can actually iron it. So maybe when I ironed it, I might have stretched it out a little bit, but I had to make it nice and smooth and flat because it was all, like there were fold marks in it and everything. So I had to iron it to get it to lay nice and smooth. Okay, so see, we've got it on. So to start out with, what I'm going to do is, you can see here, this is going to look exactly like the hem looked before. See how it makes like a little pretty edge? Make it a little bit lighter so you can see. So I'm going to use my Wonder Clips. I'm going to go around and clip it, wrapping the fabric really snugly around the bottom edge of our horsehair braid. And then I'm going to go around again and I'm going to pin it to the top. So we're going to do a two-step process here because I really want to make sure when I sew the horsehair to the top, you know, along the top, that everything is laying nice and firmly. So I'm actually, you know, using my fingers to make sure that that's really wrapped on there firmly. So see how it looks? I'm just going to Wonder Clip it to itself just to keep it nice and firm here. So again, this is going to take me a hot minute because I've got like 120 inches of hem here. But see, from the right side, see, it just makes a really nice, see how it has more body? That's why you want to use horsehair, because it gives the hem some nice body. Because if you had a poofy, like if you had the tulle inside is making it a little bit poofy, so the hem would just be limp if it didn't have some sort of support to it. Okay, so we're just going to go around. I'll probably have to use every Wonder Clip in my box, I think. More. So really you can see we only shortened or took off a very little bit, you know, than from where I cut it. So you can see that really most of the hem allowance is now the horsehair. And then when I go to sew the top end of the horsehair will act as a stabilizer to make it nice and easy to sew. So I'm just going to keep working around. This is a fun project for me, I have to admit. I don't think I'd want to do alterations as a business every day, all day long, but every now and then I really do enjoy it. Oh, I didn't start at the center back. I can see I'm coming to my join. You know what I think I'm going to do, actually? I am going to bring my sewing machine back here. And I am just going to sew this right here, just so it doesn't flop around where it joined. I'm just going to do a straight stitch. I'm just zigzagging back and forth here. The original hem, it was not sewn, but I just think, see what I did? I just did like a little V to hold the edges down. Okay. That'll just keep it from catching on anything. Okay. I mean, you're not going to see it. See, it's in there. All right. Now, if the lining had been sticking out of the dress, I would have had to hem that as well. But happy day, I don't have to for this dress. All right, we're getting there. I'm about halfway. I'm really hoping I have enough wonder clips to get around here. Oops. All right, so here's something you cannot do. I pulled it and it came apart from the horsehair because I'm working with the edge is cut. It's not finished, so now I have to fix that. So if you're gonna work with rehabbed horsehair, then you have to be careful. So let me just go back and fix that. Where did it? Right here. Let me just re-sew that little part on here that I pulled. All right, so you have to be careful. All right. All right, so we have to be gentle as we're turning it. I'm finding all this other random stuff in my bucket of clips. So if you had to hem the, if the lining was sticking out of the skirt after you hemmed the skirt, or after you know, adjusted the length of the skirt, I generally like to make the lining a couple inches shorter than the skirt. And I think the way this dress was made, it was already a few inches shorter than the skirt, because it's, you know, it's not too long still. But if you have to shorten all the layers, just successively make each layer, you know, 1.5 inches or so shorter than the layer that's on top of it. That way, when it swishes around, it won't peek out. I'm getting all my clips. I'm getting to my bottom of my bucket here. I bet you some of these clips haven't even been used, because when I bought them, I bought 100. All right, I can see where I started, so I'm definitely getting there. All right, I'm almost there. Okay, I only have about another 2 or 3 feet to go. I can see my goal. All right, so here's my start point right here. So I'm going to just finish. I only have this much to go from here to here. I'm on my live, honey bun. That's all right. Okay. All right, so I am gonna just keep going here. I'm running out of clips, so I'm gonna switch to my new pins. I'm so excited that I actually have more than 3 pins. So we're just gonna use pins for the rest. Just gonna pin it. Okay. All right, so now that I've got that, I've got the edge of the horsehair wrapped around the hem. Let's look at it from the right side here. Okay, so you can see that, see how nice that's going to be? So my question now is, or not, my next step, actually not my question, my next step is I am going to lay this flat on the table, and I'm going to pin it, and I have to pin it, remember, I have to remember which direction I'm going to sew. I'm going to be sewing in this direction, so I am going to pin the hem flat in this direction now. So I'm basically going to pin through the horsehair. So see what I'm doing? I'm just going to pin. Hi, Alaya. I am working on hemming a prom gown today using horsehair, and actually I recycled the horsehair from the dress because the horsehair I could find at Joann's was too narrow. Just to recap here. All right, so I'm just going to, as I pin this, I'm going to make sure that the fabric is firmly, you know, wrapped around that edge. And the cool thing is, when I go to start sewing this, I can feel the edge of the horsehair, so I'll be able to, oh, and once it's pinned, I can take my Wonder Clips out because I won't need those anymore. I think the Wonder Clip step was just a little added security for my, you know, to make sure that I had it, you know, wrapped around firmly. So like I said, I'm just going to keep working with a little piece at a time here to make sure that everything is laying nice and flat. And I did mention the dress is getting smaller as it gets higher, so the braid, like the stretch in the braid, or actually I want to say like the movement in the braid will accommodate that. See, I'm just going to take my time and I'm just going to pin all the way around, and I'm pinning in the direction that'll make it easy for me to take the pins out as I come to them. I'm going to make it a little bit wider. Madeline is asking me, why would you not sew the horsehair up by machine? I'm going to sew it by machine. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to be, when I come sewing, I'm going to be sewing in this direction. So I'm putting my pins with the balls facing me so I can take them out as I come to them. I'm absolutely going to sew it by machine. I just really want to make sure it's nice and, you know, everything is nice and lined up, and the hem is wrapped around the horsehair nicely at the bottom. So when my daughters went to when it was my daughter's prom season, the dresses at the time were very like A-line skirts, and a lot of the dresses were actually made out of fancy knits. So like when I hemmed one of my daughter's friends' dresses for their senior prom, all I did was cut off the bottom and then use a rolled hem on the serger just to finish the edge. I really like this construction. I think it's really, I thought it was really well made. All right, we're getting there. This is just going to take me some time, so I'm sorry. Oh, Mary said Madeline was asking you why the horsehair isn't on top when you sew? Oh, because I can feel it. I can feel it, and I want to make sure the fabric, I don't want to catch any of the fabric in my seam, and if it's against the feed dogs, I can't see it. So I'm going to sew it with the fabric face up, I think. You know, and as I'm sewing along, I can feel the edge of it because it's rigid. See, it's right there. So I'll be able to feel that. And maybe I'll, well, I think I have a 2-inch, I have a lot of markings on my needle plate too, so I'll be able to use the lines on my needle plate to help me guide it as well. I mean, the feed teeth would probably feed the fabric from underneath. I just want to see it. I don't want to have to go in and take out any little pleats if the fabric isn't laying flat against the horsehair. And of course, you know me. We'll see how that works out. Maybe I'll end up flipping it over. But I think this is going to work out. Okay, let's see here. Plus, the other thing too is, it's only a subtle difference, but your needle thread looks a little bit tidier than your bobbin thread. So that's another reason why I'm sewing from the top. I could feel that this was my center back seam because I could feel pinning through 2 layers versus 1 layer there. So I think I'm getting there. I'm almost... I still have a ways to go here. Notice I'm sort of pinning at a 45-degree angle. I think that's doing a good job of holding the dress to the horsehair. It's not like, you know, like when you've got a facing or something underneath and you want to stitch in the ditch or stitch in the seam between things, you like pin right next to the seam. I don't need the pins to guide where I'm going to sew because, like I said, I can feel the edge of the oh, Mary says, was the hem top stitched in the first place? Yes, it was, Mary. I'm putting it back exactly the way it was made. The top, and here's the thing. I understand your urge to want to hand sew this, because a lot of times when I'm working on a dress, you know, like it's a fancy dress, I would maybe consider that as well. But because this fabric is so glittery, you really can't see the seam. I mean, it basically, all the glitter on the fabric actually camouflages the machine seam. I was surprised it was hand sewn too, I'll be honest with you. I mean, machine sewed. I think sometimes, like when I'm working on things like this, because you know me, you've watched me do a lot of projects, I'm not a fan of tons of prep steps. I'm not a fan of pinning. I'm not a fan of hand sewing. I'm not a fan of a lot of the things that take extra time. However, when you're working on something special, or if you're working on something that really requires, you know, certain steps to be taken, I take them. So for example, like if I didn't take the time to do the clips first to help wrap it around the edge, you know, and then I just pinned it on, you know, it might not have laid as nice and as flat. So I'm just trying to do as much, take my time and do all the prep work so the final result will be happy. Because sometimes, like if you rush, then you end up having to take it out and do it over. So I'm really trying to give myself the best result I can by really taking my time and pinning. So thank you for watching me pin for, I don't know how long this is taking, but you know, I'm really taking my time because I want it to come out beautiful for Morgan. Oh, Morgan, I wish I had taken a picture of your shoes. Oh, you appreciate me so much. Oh, I went to my parents the next day, and then I told them how I thought like you were one of the nicest teenagers I've ever met in my entire life. You're just very sweet. Okay. So I wish I had taken a picture of your shoes so I could have showed everybody how pretty your shoes are. All right, we are getting there. Oh, we are getting there. I can see my start point now. Okay. We are almost done pinning. Also, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, Morgan, but I showed them how I fixed that loop in the lace-up part of the dress so it'll stay nice and firm. So that will be all nice and fixed too. All right, we are almost there. Okay, 3 more wonder clips to remove. Oh, I also have the pins. Oh, but I started, a minute. Oh, I have a little bit longer than I thought because I'm getting to the point where I had pinned. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to take these pins out and put them on the top. Ooh, stabbed. All right, almost done. Okay, I just have another 10 inches to go here and we are all pinned up and ready to go. All right, so see, this is kind of cool. Here's my start point and here's my end point, and you can see the fabric is still laying nice and smooth, so that makes me happy. Okay. All right. All right, so now what we're going to do, I think, I'm just going to turn it over and just peek and make sure everything looks good on the underside. Just making sure. I think everything is going to be good. Here, let me just finish looking. Yep. All right, we're ready to sew. So exciting. Morgan, you have to send Jen a picture of you in your dress the day of the prom so she can show us. Oh, that would be so exciting, Morgan. We want to see you all gussied up. All right. Here we go. I think I want to change. I think this thread. Let me see what. I'm just checking the weight of my thread. Oh, it's 50 weight. All right, so it's 50 weight thread, which is a little bit lighter than my normal sewing weight thread, so I think it's going to be fine. So now I'm going to put the hem, and I'm going to start and stop at the center back. I don't know that that really matters for this kind of thing, but I always like to start and stop at center back. So let me find that. Okay. Let's see, where is center back? I know it's here somewhere. I don't know if it, oh, here we are. All right, so I'm going to start right here at the center back. And I am going to go with, I'm going to stitch it right there. So I'm going to try to keep my hem edge. I want to sew really close to the top of the tape. So the top of the tape is like right there, like right underneath that side of my presser foot. Hi Kim, welcome. We're hemming a prom gown. You've made it to the finale where I'm going to sew now after I've pinned everything. And I think what I'm going to do is use a piece of Scotch tape. I don't have any colored tape, so I'm just going to use a piece of Scotch tape to, I'm going to mark it here. So this little piece of Scotch tape I put here, I know you can't see it now because I taped it on, but basically I'm going to use that to keep my hem edge along the edge of that tape. Oh, wait a minute. I have a better idea. Now, Scotch tape is not nice on your machine. I just goobered up my machine. Hold on. I just thought of a better idea. Let me take that off. Yeah, that was not a good idea. I'm going to use, instead, a sticky note. So I'm going to take this sticky note and I'm going to put it right here, and that's going to help keep me square with my stitching. Okay, so I'm going to use the side of the sticky note as another visual guide. Alright, so I'm just going to start stitching here. And I'm going to take my pins out as I come to them. All right, once I do a few more inches, I'm going to show you how you really can't see the stitching on this fabric. Oh, actually, okay, so you can see because it's black, so I'm going to be taking that out. I need to find a color that matches the dress. All right. So I've been on here for over an hour now. So, oh, hi Brenda from Ireland, welcome. All right, so see how you can see that because it's black? That's not going to work for me. So let me see if I can find something that will be better. Hold on one second. decorative thread would be better. Something like this. Yeah, because we cannot have that showing. Let me see if the decorative thread was better. And actually, before we stitch any more, I am going to stitch on this. So here's my extra hem. Let me see if I put maybe this. Let's see. This is a rayon embroidery thread. Let me see if this is going to work better here. That looks yucky. Let me see how this looks. I thought the black would blend. Black's not blending. All right, let's try this. See if this is better. So I'm just going to stitch a little bit here and see. All right, so see how that not noticeable. So we are going to go with this rayon thread that blends in really, really nicely and barely shows. So see how you can barely see it? So, happy dance, I have a color. Let me just get over here with, where did I sew? All right, so that would be an example of what not to do. Always test the color of your thread on a scrap first. So I'm going to just, oh, that's so funny. The purple in my bobbin probably would have been better than the black. Let me just take this out very quickly. Well, very carefully, actually. So when I was taking it out of the, when I was taking the stitching out of the hem initially, the stitching was so loose I could literally pull it along like this, see? See, I'm just pulling it. So I'm not even picking it. I'm just, that's why I'm using the bigger stitch. Well, I didn't anticipate having to take it out, but a bigger stitch will make it easier to take it out. Oh, and I'm so happy I have purple in my bobbin, because if it were black, I would never see that. All right, all better. All right, so let's start that again with this other thread that's not noticeable. So again, I'm going to start right here, and we're going to be golden and invisible. Okay. All right, let's look at it again. All right, so this, all right, you can see the indentation of it, but that's how it looked when I took it apart. There's like a slight dent there, but with it moving around, you're never going to see it, because Morgan is going to be having the time of her life dancing her feet off. Right, Morgan? Oh, audition, audition, audition. My embroidery machine doesn't like rayon, so I have polyester. Yeah, and yes, and Mary's right. The shine on this thread will help it blend in. All right. you can see, I'm just going to stitch all the way around, and of course I have the entire dress supported on my table off to the left here. It's not hanging off the table. There's nothing like stretching or pulling. Notice everything is just laying nice and flat. You know, and for this, I really like having the fabric face up so I can see what I'm doing. Alright, so I'm just going to go all the way around. If you guys don't want to stay and watch me sew all the way around, it will not hurt my feelings. But I am going to keep, I'm going to stay on until I finish this. And I'm really just taking my time, sewing along. On this really pretty fabric. It's funny, it's iridescent, it changes color, it's like more periwinkle right here. Depending on how it's laying, it either looks like, see right here, down here, you can see it looks purpley. So pretty. I'm so happy I thought to buy more pins. I was down to my last 4 pins. Ugh. Okay. It's a mystery to me where all my pins go, I'll be honest with you. I think I must sweep them up and throw them away without realizing it. So having this sticky note here is really helping me keep everything nice and even. I mean, I'm not even worrying about feeling for the end of the horsehair because you can see. Okay, just gonna keep going. Machine is making a funny noise, so I'm gonna stop and see why it's making a funny noise. Is it because my bobbin is... Let me just see, I still have plenty of thread. Oh, the thread came out of the uptake lever, or the take-up lever. So if you guys are sewing along and you hear a noise, don't keep sewing. Don't think you can sew over the noise, because I promise you it will only get worse. Oh, that's so funny. And my needle is getting gummed up by something. Oh, look it. It's the... I don't know if you can see that. Sparkles on my... So the sparkles are sticking to my needle. You know what works really well for that? Sewer's Aid. Let's see, do I have some Sewer's Aid? Oops, do I have some Sewer's Aid in here? Okay, so Sewer's Aid is a silicone liquid that you can put on your needle and it'll help things from sticking to it. And of course, I don't know where mine is, so I'm gonna keep going here. But let me just... Hold on a second, I'm sorry. All right, I'm just going to keep marching along here, but if you have trouble with stuff sticking to your, you know, sticking to your needle, sewer's aid, if you just put a little bit on the needle, it'll keep your needle from getting gunked up. So that is interesting to me that the little sparkles are gunking up the needle. All right, so I'm just gonna overlap where I stopped. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna back tack one stitch just so it doesn't fall out. All right, and then we're just gonna keep going here. That'll teach me for not having my sewer's aid handy. See, putting these pins at a diagonal, I don't know if you noticed, but it's very easy to take them out. If you're working on a project that has a lot of pins, that can save time. All right, I'm just untangling my hem here. Make sure I have plenty to work with. Okay. I still have a ways to go. I'm just going to keep sewing. You leaving? Love you. What? Oh. My older daughter's leaving to go ref a volleyball tournament. So she'll be gone all weekend. Huh? Both of my daughters are going to be at this tournament. Abby's coaching? Oh. Abby's going to be coaching and Anna's going to be reffing. All right. So you'll notice my pins are not really in the way, but I'm still taking them out as I come to them so I don't leave any in there. We don't want Morgan to get pricked during the prom by a pin. Okay. I'm just going to organize my hem again. Ooh, I can see my start point now. Ooh, I have about 4 feet to go. And we're done with this hem. Ooh, I can see the end. We're almost there. All right, I am coming to my start point. So I don't know if you can see it, but my seam is right here. See, from this direction you can't even see it. It's right there. All right, so let me just finish this hem. And again, I'm just gonna back tack a couple stitches. All right. Yay, we're hemmed. All right, let me shake it out and show you. Oh, it's hanging really nicely. Let me see if I can show you. Make it big. Big. Okay, see? I think that's going to be nice. I'm going to put it on the hanger, and I'm just going to double check and make sure that the lining isn't peeked out now that it's shortened. Because if it is, I'm going to have to hem that as well. So let me just hang it on the door. I'll be right back. Nope. I know you can't see, but hanging up from the hanging up position, you cannot see the you can't see the hem and you can't see the lining, so I am super happy. So yay. All right. All right, so that is my how to hem a prom dress using horsehair. If you guys have any questions about that, please let me know and I will help you. Just keep in mind, every dress is different, every fabric is different. So like I had to change my thread because obviously the black was not working. So if you have hem allowance that you cut off, it's a good idea to test your thread color before you start stitching on your dress. And you know, just maybe even try your hem technique on a scrap as well to make sure you like it if you're going to do something different than the original construction. Like I knew this was going to work because I literally put it back the exact way that I took it apart. So anyway, that was my fun project for today. I'm going to get off and just do a little bit of hand sewing, and I'm going to whisk this right back over to Morgan so she has it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I am trying to finish a tutorial for Sunday showing how to embroider a satin bag for a garter belt that I made earlier. That way I can use up all the fabric from Sue's money bag from her wedding for her daughter's wedding. So I'm trying to get that done for Sunday, so look for that. If I don't get it done, I will post it as soon as it is done, but I really am trying to finish that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this fun little tutorial, and thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again very, very soon.